Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a life/family update. I didn't think I would be making this soon, but here we are. There's two things I want to say quickly before we get into the video. The first one, I didn't really say it in the actual video. I said it in the post about uploading the video, but I kind of wanted to say it on film. The reason I made the last video and this video is because I wanted to reach out to people who had been through this, to feel not so alone myself, but I also wanted to relate or have people watching this feel maybe not so alone in their pain and their story, because I know not everybody has the support and love that I have, and I am very grateful for that. So I wanted to help to be that for someone else. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention is how incredibly grateful I am to Kingston Hospital, Kingston General, for the way that they treated my family in what was a very hard month to a very hard year. Yeah, that was what I wanted to say. So before we get into the video, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the little bell button so you get notified when I upload. So this is the second half to my video 2 weeks ago. So as you all know, my grandfather was diagnosed with leukemia. To be specific, it was acute myeloid leukemia, which apparently is one of the worst leukemias you can get. It occurs in most people between the ages of 65 and 75. My grandfather was 74. And it is a very aggressive and fast-acting cancer. So he was diagnosed December 10th, and was shipped from Coburg to Kingston right away. He spent 4 days in ICU in Kingston, and then he was moved to the cancer ward on Monday night, like 10:30 at night was when he was moved to the cancer ward. We were given 3 different kind of options for treatment, none of which would put him in remission. So if we didn't do anything like chemo, any treatment, it would probably be about 3 months. If we went with a just chemo shots, it would be 8 to 10 months. And if we went a trial version of the chemo plus a medication, it could be 12 to 15 months. That was what was discussed in a family phone call we had with the doctors on Monday. I think that was the 14th. And then my grandma went up to see him with my aunt on the Saturday, the 19th, and we were told he was responding well to chemo. He was having a good day. He got up and went to the bathroom and walked back to bed. He wasn't talking because he had sores on his mouth and throat because of the phlegm that he was coughing up all the time. And so they were concerned about that as well as his lungs. They had done a CT because he was really wheezy. But the doctor and the technician were having difficulties reading the CT scans, so they wanted a lung specialist to look at it. The lung specialist came back and said that it was just a really bad infection and the lower part of one of his lungs, and that was what was causing the wheezing. But they also wanted to know if he wanted a feeding tube from his nose to his stomach. And because my grandma's dad had cancer and had to have a tube, my grandfather knew what that looked like and didn't want it, and my grandma knew that, so they both agreed no, that they would take the risk of exacerbation, that whatever he would choke on would go into his lungs, whatever that word's called. He took that risk. So that was Friday, I believe. And then Sunday morning, I woke up and went downstairs to get ready to go for work. I was putting on my boots, and my grandma said, "Hold on, you're not going to work. We have to go say goodbye to Grandpa. The doctor's called." And I was like, no. And then I kind of collected myself, and I was like, okay, I'll call Mom. So I called my mom, and I woke her up, and I told her what was happening, and that I would call her back in a few minutes when I knew more. And I talked to my grandma. My grandma was still trying to contact my aunt, so I called my dad, and my dad asked if I wanted him to come to the house, and I said yes. So he came. It brought me a coffee. I'm very thankful for. It kept me awake in the car ride. So we all left for Kingston, and we were allowed in the hospital 2 at a time. So when we got there, my mom and my aunt had decided that my mom would go with my grandma first, because my aunt had been up with my grandma the day before. So my mom and my grandma went up. We all went back outside. My dad didn't come in the hospital with us, so he was already out the car and actually pulling out of the garage when we went to walk across the street to go back to the parking garage. And I flagged him down and told him that only 2 were allowed in at a time, so the rest of us were going to sit in the car and wait. And my dad was like, okay, let's go down. So we went down, and we decided that we had to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom since we got to Kingston. I have a very small bladder. Anyway, so we decided we'd go tell my aunt that we were going to go walk around the hospital to find a bathroom. And my aunt told us there was a porta potty that was sitting right in front of the hospital doors. I apparently missed that. I did not see that when we walked by it. Anyway, so we went up to the porta potties, and my dad had a smoke on his way back, our way back. And my aunt had texted me that she was going to get food. So that was fine. We went back to the car. We were sitting in the car, and all of a sudden my mom was calling me. I thought she was just calling me to tell me that the next person could go up, but she was in tears when I picked up the phone. And I knew then that something wasn't right, that something was really wrong. And Mom, if this is too much, I'm sorry. She was just in total tears, completely just breaking, because she hadn't really felt what was going on up until that point. She had let out a few tears, but it wasn't really hitting her yet. So it finally hit her, and it hit her hard. But that's okay, because it's all part of grief. So I was getting out of the car, and I had taken the phone away from my ear a little bit, and my aunt had told me to come back to the hospital because Grandpa had passed. And I was like, wait, what? Because the phone was away from my ear, so I couldn't hear it. And she's like, Grandpa passed. So I was like, okay, I'm coming, like I'm on my way. And my dad, I just remember looking at him and just like yelling no. And then my dad came to me and was like, come on, let's go. And he kind of brought me back into the moment, and we went up out of the parking garage and went to the hospital. And I didn't know where they were. I just knew that they were at the hospital. So I ran into the hospital, and my aunt told me I had to wait, meaning I had to wait to go up to see my grandpa because my cousin was going first, which was fine because I was looking for my mom in that moment. I knew she needed me. I knew I had to get to her. So I was like, but mommy. And she's like, she's in the van. So I like turned around and I ran to my mom, and she met me halfway. And we just held on to each other. We were in the middle of like the drive-through part of the entryway. So my mom's like, it's not safe, we have to move. So we kind of like shuffled backwards behind the van and just held on to each other. I gave my phone and my purse to my dad and pulled my mom's mask off because she was still wearing it, and just held her. Told her I was there and I loved her. And then I was like, come on, let's go sit. So we sat in the van for a little bit while my other cousin came down. My cousin came down and my other cousin went up. And I sat with my mom and my aunt and my uncle and my dad. I cried a little. And then it was finally my turn to go up. Oh, I talked to my dad's parents too. I needed to hear their voice. My papa really helped in that moment. He said everything that I needed to hear, that I knew but needed to hear. So thanks for that, Papa. And then I went up to say my goodbyes. I held his hands. I gave him a kiss. I talked to my grandma that he looked like he was sleeping. And then I went and asked the nurses at the desk if there was anything my grandma needed to sign or fill out or anything. They said no. So my grandma and I went downstairs and let my aunt and uncle go up to say their goodbye. And then Tuesday, we went and said goodbye at the funeral home. Yeah. His obituary went up a couple days later. And I bought a memorial plant in his name that has a little message on it. I don't know where it's going. It just said anywhere a tree is needed in Canada is where it's going. But yeah, that was our goodbye to my grandpa. Like I said, I'm entirely grateful for Kingston Hospital for letting us all go say goodbye. I know some hospitals wouldn't have let that happen. Some hospitals might have not even let my grandma in with him. So I'm very thankful that that was allowed to happen for us. So yeah, I love you all. Thank you for all the support. It's been greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.